Merch shop! Join the pack!
Video time, enjoy!
Doorway dodging, a very effective strategy for tanking, but it has a flaw I haven't mentioned yet. The reason why is because I don't want to give noobs the ammunition against doorway dodging in general. At tier 3 and up, dodging won't be that effective anymore, while it depends on your AC of course, and their attack modifier. Here's what I mean. Here's a creature with a plus 11 to hit. If you have 18 AC, his chance of hitting you is 70%. If you were dodging, that's 49%. Almost a 50-50. He's going to hit you. Dodge isn't the correct move. Cast a spell or attack at that point. If your AC is 22, then his chance to hit is 50%. And if you dodge, it's 25%. In general, I would say if a creature has a 65% chance or higher of hitting you without dodging, then dodging isn't the correct move. For the sake of math, I might as well give you the number if you dodge there. It's 42%. There is an alternative to dodge in terms of defense, besides shutdown or offense, and it's Blade Ward. It's usually a dismiss cantrip, but it's not useless. It's got something going for it. And now that Earth Genazis get to use this as a bonus action, that gives me enough of a reason to cover it properly. Welcome to Pack Tactics. Blade Ward! Cantrip, action, self. Until the end of your next turn, you have resistance against bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage dealt by weapon attacks. Clarification for that weapon attack. Fists, claws, bites, and so on count as weapon attacks. You can find that in every monster stat block. Look, the wolf does melee weapon attack, and it's biting. Blade Ward also resists magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. Resistance is half damage, by the way. That's the basics. Now, the reason why it's dismissed is because it takes an action and only lasts until your next turn. That's a very big deal, and it's a cantrip pick, so that's also a cost. You could have picked another cantrip instead. We're going to look at a graph. It's by someone named Attack. They said the red part is the area where the cantrip is better, and yellow part is where the dodge action is better. For the orange part, it's the area where the two are equal in terms of damage reduction. Tier 1, I think everyone agrees Blade Ward sucks. Just dodge. Tier 2, Attack says in some cases Blade Ward would be better, but I wouldn't count on it. Just dodge. Blade Ward sucks here too. Tier 3, Attack says Blade Ward is better when facing the boss mobs. I agree, and we can see that clearer on the graph. This is where you pick up Blade Ward. Tier 4, it explains itself. Dodge can't compete with Blade Ward. Here's their conclusion. Blade Ward is a decent pick for your new cantrip at level 10. It's not that good, but it's not that bad either. It's just that most campaigns end before Blade Ward becomes a decent pick. I agree. It makes sense, even without doing the math for damage, in theory. Let's just pull a random number out and say the creature has a 70% chance to hit you. I showed you this before, that the dodge makes it a 49%. If you cast Blade Ward, you instead take half the damage of that 70%. So Blade Ward is better. Then there's cases like 50% to hit, dodge is 25%, and Blade Ward is half the damage of 50%. Obviously, dodge is better here because a greater chance of taking no damage is better than half damage, you know? Now that I think about it, as I was recording that line, people might disagree with me because if you know the context of the fight, Blade Ward isn't a gamble like dodge. Casting the spell guarantees you will take the half damage of that 50%. Creatures might actually make that 25%, and then you take full force of that damage. You can tell me in the comments what is correct. Combos. It's straightforward. It's good with shield spell. The class that gets the best use out of Blade Ward overall is Cleric because of Spirit Guardians. Sadly, however, Clerics don't get Blade Ward. It's not mandatory for a Cleric to get Blade Ward. It can be ignored. They will still be effective with Spirit Guardians and dodge. But it's a cantrip to consider if you happen to have that option to pick. Like I said before, Earth Genasi gets to use Blade Ward as a bonus action, so they can do both dodge and Blade Ward at the same time. That's actually really strong, and they get Pass Without Trace on top of that. Out of all the races in the Monsters of the Multiverse book, Earth Genasi made out like a bandit. I'm surprised they got a boost. They were always good. By the way, there's no kobold in Mordenkainen's Monsters of the Multiverse. It doesn't exist. Whoever's telling you this is a gnome. Anyways, end of video. I hope I earned your subscription or support on Patreon. Buy a t-shirt if you want. Have a nice week.
Goodbye.